It's a great pleasure. I had a moment to look at the beautiful book that represents your artwork. You are a sculptor.
Yes.
And you use steel.
Primarily, yes.
And glass.
And glass. I work in three different mediums. One is metal fabrication using traditional steel methods in fabricating, welding. I also do original lost wax casting, and then I also like to work in glass. I've done a lot of educational workshops in the area and travel around and make glass presentations around the West Coast as well.
Well, before we get into the whole methodology of your practice, I want to explain to our audience why you're here. You are promoting a very special event that is about to begin in August. And I love what you're doing, Steve. Basically, you're creating right now a mobile metal shop and a studio.
Right.
And it's mobile. So you're going to be taking this metal shop out on the road. And folks, just so you know, Steve works big. It's not like you're doing, you're working all sides.
I like to work, my favorite is to work monumental whenever I can.
Right.
I can't always do that, but yeah, and so small pieces for me are like 4 feet tall, that's a small piece.
Right.
But I can do that, or up to maybe 7 feet tall in my mobile metal shop.
And I just find that extraordinary. And I also find what's really interesting is that higher consciousness kind of thing, because many artists are creating this type of mobile platform in which they can bring their art to the world, which is one of your main objectives, isn't it?
It is. There's kind of a big movement for bringing in artists from out of the area to do workshops and to do demos and events. So this is part of that. But what really brought this on was that I have actually been pretty much for 4 years been traveling and living in different communities and working. So I never really had a permanent shop in the last 4 years. So recently, I had to make a decision. Do I want to open a shop and have a home base and I'm fixed there? Or do I want to be mobile and be able to travel and see different influences of areas and people, which I love doing? So I came up with the mobile metal shop concept. So I went out and bought a 24-foot trailer that will accommodate living quarters and bring my metal shop with me so I can live and work where I go.
So like a live, work, art loft space, you've got your live, work, art mobile studio. I think it's tremendous. I also think of all the extraordinary food carts that are becoming really popular all around the United States. And here in Santa Cruz, there's a artist who makes clothes in the back of her trailer. And there was a recent, I'm trying to remember, there was a mobile gallery space that was parked in front of the Institute of Contemporary Art for one of their first events. And so you went in and you got to see 4 different artists. But what's even more extraordinary is not only you being in touch with this higher consciousness kind of movement, but metal shopping, especially with the size that you're talking about,
sure,
is this must be one of the first.
Well, I think it is. I know some of my friends in the glass world have built mobile hot shops, and one of them actually went to Burning Man, and they were blowing glass out on the playa at Burning Man, and that was pretty cool. And so that's part of what's influenced me in doing this. And there's certainly some challenges involved in metal fabrication out on the road, and one of the things I like to do is work outdoors. I love being in nature, and I really look forward to just going out in the middle of the wilderness and actually creating art as well, just by myself camping and just making art. I look forward to that kind of experience as well.
Well, now that starts making me think about your methodology. So let's say I have this picture of you in the woods making a 7-foot-tall metal steel sculpture. Is there a lot of heat that needs to be involved with that? I mean, you're soldering.
Yeah, we're welding, and I have I have a special generator just for my MIG welder. I have oxyacetylene tanks, which is my torches, and I've been working out in outdoors now in different locations for a while. So I've kind of figured out how to do it and keep my equipment small and light that I can effectively work with and transport. So yeah, I've figured it out, and it's all coming together. And I'm actually my first big event is going to be in Borrego Springs at the Borrego Springs Art Institute in October. And then between now and then, I'll be kind of doing soft openings with maybe some local stuff here, getting the equipment set up and showing, what I do.
Well, I would love to be able to see your mobile metal shop studio before you take it out on the road.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun.
Maiden voyage.
Yeah.
We were talking about it would be great to see you part of the First Friday art tour in August before you take off from it, because I really would like to see how you've created what seems to me such a big art practice into being able to stow it away and drive it down the road.
Yeah, and like you said, I probably won't be able to make the big pieces, and those have to go into big metal fabrication studios. I have actually other artists that I collaborate with from Reno, Paso Robles, here in Santa Cruz, Eugene, Oregon. So I've moved around when I need to set up in a shop for a week or two to make a piece or a commission. I've been fortunate to have availability to shops. But this is kind of going to be my own thing, and as long as I have a good outdoor footprint, like a 30 by 40 space where I can park the trailer and set up outside, I can work.
So for our dear audience that does have access to a internet, artscapeproductions.com is where you'll be able to see Steve Addi's metalwork, and you can get these beautiful pictures of your work. You have very linear and round kind of look to your pieces. How would you describe?
Well, I'm categorized as an abstract expressionist. I've always liked contemporary art, and I can't draw anything, so I have to really work in the abstract, and for some reason it really works for me. Trying to make something look like something doesn't work, so I have to work in the abstract, and it's just kind of a process that flows. Sometimes I'll do drawings in advance, but they never turn out that way. I always, deviate from my sketches because it's kind of a process that I'll create as I go. So even in the mobile metal shop, when I'm doing demonstrations and working in front of the public, I'm actually creating as I go, and I'll make parts that I know are going to be assembled together, and then as I assemble them, the creation kind of happens.
This is a really interesting performative aspect to metalwork, which again traditionally is done alone in a giant studio, in your own world kind of thing, and you're breaking those kind of stereotypical boundaries of what we usually think.
Right? Yeah, people love to watch me work, and so when they
got fire.
Yeah, you have heat, you have fire. I mean, and so people enjoy coming to the studio, and I realized after a while, wow, maybe I should take advantage of the fact that people want to understand how it works, the process, and they want to see it in action. And for years I thought, maybe I should have a venue where there's a cafe and a metal studio where people can watch the metal artists work. And that's always been in the back of my mind, but this is the next best thing, is just take it to them.
Yeah, you could just park next to the cafe.
Yeah, park next to the cafe. So yeah, I think there's something to be said about watching the artist actually working the process, and we want to take that out to the public. And
that the performative aspect is also where you're being influenced by the audience or the participants. They're influencing how the piece ends.
They actually can.
With the process.
I agree with you. You know, I was thinking, as I assemble pieces, is get the reaction from the actual crowd, that's watching, to see if they feel the balance and the way I see it before I weld those parts together. And so I will be influenced by the people watching this process.
Oh, I think it'll be great because in some instances, I know from my own art practice, there have been times where I needed someone to tell me, stand back, you're done.
Right.
And getting lost in it. I'm sure you're a much more advanced artist, but it is helpful to hear somebody say, you know what, you might kind of ruin it if you keep going where you're
Sure,
going.
you have to know when it's finished.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
So to have an audience all have that aha moment before you've had the aha moment might be really interesting. Or have the aha moment and then see how the audience, if they also feel what you're feeling. So it's influential both ways.
It's going to be an interesting, event for sure when I go out and do these. So I'm just really excited to do this because first of all, I love to travel and I'm on the road most of the year, and this gives me an opportunity to work and travel and not necessarily have to go into one of my friends' studios and work, which I like doing, but it's not always convenient.
Right. Steve Addi, that's Addi, is here on Artist on Art, talking about his mobile metal shop studio that he's about to take out on the maiden voyage. He is at artscapeproductions.com, and he's bringing art to the world through this work. And I just want to give a little quote that I found on your website.
Okay.
Steve sees art as a way of tapping into the higher consciousness. As man is the only earthly being who creates as a way to communicate and express. This is kind of the driving philosophy behind your work?
I think so. I'm not happy unless I'm creating. And I think that a lot of people that are living the day-to-day that we live in today's society are missing the boat by not tapping into the creative energies. So without that, I can't be happy. I don't have I don't feel fulfilled unless I'm doing some creative endeavor. So when I can't do metal art, I'm writing music, or I'm doing or making jewelry. Even if I can't, get out to a studio, if I'm locked in somewhere where I can't move, I'll just start making jewelry. But I'm always trying to create, and I think that's what really makes, us complete.
And so you find through your metal work, your ability to communicate your feelings, you're expressing what's happening.
Yes, but also I feel like I'm connecting with some kind of universal force. Being an abstract expressionist, it's really about how I feel and what I'm feeling at the moment and the environment that I'm in. So I'm kind of tapping in and plugging in, and that's what's creating the work.
Right. So Steve Addi, have there been times where you've stepped back from your piece and it spoke to you, and maybe you weren't aware of how you were feeling somewhere in your psyche, and that the piece came through?
Yes, absolutely. And what's really interesting about that is some of the interpretations that other people have seen and have commented about my pieces as well, and that sometimes will connect, and wow, that's exactly what I was thinking about that piece. Or they might come up with something totally different, like it reminds them of something.
Right.
But that's good. I want everybody to see something in the piece that they connect to, whatever it is.
And so, Steve, would people be able to find your music and your other forms of art on Artscape Productions?
Yes, I do have a link on the homepage to SoundCloud, to my SoundCloud site for my music. And I have a band called Electric Space Opera. And we play every once in a while, locally or wherever. And just music that I wrote. But that's just one of my fun, creative endeavors.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing metalwork?
I've been doing metalwork for about 10 years. I was sculpting before that, and I was actually an art dealer for 30 years.
Oh, the Addi Gallery.
Right, yeah. So I was an art dealer most of my life and representing other artists, kind of being the frustrated artist, representing artists.
Oh.
And that part of my life was just over. I was kind of done with that whole thing. And I decided, I'm just going to pursue what makes me, what fulfills me, which is I got to go after my own art. So I took a welding for art class in Reno, Nevada, which was my home base at the time, and just started creating work from there, and it's been a fun journey.
And now, Steve Addi, you are taking that knowledge and experience from the last 10 years, and you are giving it back.
Absolutely.
You're taking this mobile metal shop studio isn't just for you to create your own pieces anywhere,
right?
Which is a phenomenal thing for a metalwork sculptor. But you're also giving workshops. You're also going to be teaching.
Right. Yeah. It is about sharing the process, teaching, showing people, what goes into making a metal sculpture, because there's actually a lot of people that want to learn this process. I'm really surprised. I've given more glass workshops than metal, and I'm getting more and more requests all the time. Could you teach me how to do this? How do I learn this? So I think it could develop into a whole educational, concept.
And workshops.
Yeah.
Right. And so you mix steel and glass.
Whenever I see an appropriate need to bring in glass,
I find that incredible. Like steel is so hard. So and glass is so fragile and brittle and can break so easily. And so you're just attracted to those two.
Yeah, they're kind of different elements.
Materials?
Actually, glass is really a fluid, and so it's kind of like water and metal. Being from the earth. But, mixing the two mediums is fun, and that's one of the reasons why I got into glass, was because I did want to mix the two mediums. But sometimes I'll do lamps or lighting or things that are backlit with the glass in steel, and it works really well together.
Oh, they're so beautiful. I wish this is the radio time where I wish I could show a bunch of pictures of your work. But people would be able to do that by going to artscapeproductions.com.
Absolutely.
And there is also a book available, a beautiful coffee table book that you can buy through artscapeproductions.com.
Yeah, if they just email me. I just came out with the prototype book, which I'm printing right now. It's Designs in Steel by Steve Addi, 2006 to 2012. So this is my first real collection of body of work.
And are there any pieces around Santa Cruz that we could point people to?
You can see my work. Squid Alley right now. There's a piece on Michael Leeds' building right now called Samurai, which was commissioned by Art du Jour. And also over at the Arbor Gardens, which is off of Soquel and 17th. They have some of my outdoor sculptures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have the...
It's right behind Marshall's.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so Squid Alley, for our folks that don't know exactly where that is, that's right off of... it's two blocks off of...
Downtown...
Pacific.
Let's see...
By
it's
Goodwill.
Yes, right next to Goodwill.
It's
and
that
if you
alleyway.
walk... Yeah, there's a tea den place there, cafe, and then you'll see one of my pieces on the building. Also, Hager and Hager on 17th, he's got a few pieces as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And we'll have the links to all of that on artistonart.com so that you'll be able to go directly to Artscape Productions and see Steve Addi's work. Where's the mobile metal shop studio? Where are you building it right now?
Right now, it's in storage off of 17th in Santa Cruz. So I'm working on it locally and just kind of getting all the bugs out of moving equipment in and out because everything's so heavy. And
it's got to have a space.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah, and
working in such a small.
So I'm fortunate because I've got a great space to work on it right now until I go on the road.
Right. And again, we're hoping we can talk Steve into doing a First Friday Santa Cruz so that we can.
Yeah,
see
if we can find a space to park the trailer at an event here anytime when it's ready, I'd love to do something in Santa Cruz.
And there's a contact page on artscapeproductions.com where you'll be able to send Steve requests for information and anything else you need to talk to him about. Steve Addi, are you also blowing glass?
No, I'm actually doing glass fusion.
Glass fusion.
Yeah,
Explain
so
to us what
we basically fuse glass together in a kiln at 1,500 degrees, and I developed a process for recycling glass. So if you go to greenartproject.org, that is also my program for recycling glass, and I'm taking that around to different art institutes. I'm doing a workshop on recycled glass at the Bay Area Glass Institute in July. So
it's greenart.org.
greenartproject.org.
Excuse me, greenartproject.org.
That's where you'll see the Green Art Project, which is the recycled glass project. But I also have a website called Masters in Glass, which is my glass work and some of my artist friends as well.
Yeah, you're holding out
So
on
I
me,
got all
Steve.
kinds of websites. I don't know.
Well, it's been a really great pleasure meeting you and talking with you. Steve Addi, I wish you the best voyage around the United States in your mobile metal shop studio. You're going to have to get another name for it. It's gonna
Yeah,
be like
I'm looking for that
Steve's
catchy name, huh?
Yeah, Steve Soldering, or
Yeah.
I don't know, Solder City. Anyways, I want to see it. I want to see
Absolutely.
you out in the world. I want to get to your workshops.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming up here.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
I got Beth Young coming up real quick here, and please stay tuned, folks. Steve Addi, come back
All right, thank you.
when you're done with your journey.
Absolutely.